call RJ.
He joins us now, the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Coach, welcome in. First of all, how you doing? I know the surgery went well, right?
Going great. Yeah, it went well, and the rehab's going good, and we're happy to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you. I know you don't get to play today, but you're still going to come and sign some autographs and just watch a little golf, I guess.
Yeah, I'm chipping and putting. I'm making my way back.
So I found out today. I had no idea. I know you love television. We've talked about Dexter and some other shows before. I didn't realize you were on Game of Thrones, which, in my opinion, going into this season, best show in television history. I love The Sopranos, Breaking Bad. There's some great ones out there. The Game of Thrones has been that good. Season 8, I'm a little disappointed. I don't know where you are through 4 episodes.
Oh, I love it. I mean, it had to come to this. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to lose. That's the way it always goes. Everybody's probably got, somebody that they're rooting for, which is how it goes too. So it'd be interesting to see how it winds up.
Do you have a theory on who will be on the Iron Throne when it's all said and done?
Cersei?
I don't know. I think some kind of way Jon Snow's going to wiggle his way in there, even though he won't try. It'll just end up that way.
Is there anything, we were asking this earlier, can you take anything out of it? Like Barrett Jones tells us your Friday night speeches were his favorite part of being a player at Alabama. Can you use any Game of Thrones in that?
Oh, I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned in that. I know it's a fictional type, show, but, you sort of get attached to the characters and, some of the perseverance that they go through and some of the things that they do because they are actually competing. With all the sort of wars and things that go on. So it is kind of interesting. I haven't thought about it from that perspective, but I will since you mentioned it.
Thank you. I'm glad I could contribute, yeah.
I mean, this is going to sound really geeky, but the dedication from like the Dothraki and the Unsullied and how really it is all about, serving, their queen, their king, and at all costs. It doesn't matter. I mean, they sacrifice everything.
No, I get it, but the White Walkers were the bad dudes, man. I mean, if we were recruiting, we would go north and try to recruit some of those guys.
Alabama coach Nick Saban with us on the Jocks Roundtable. I saw you smile a little bit when I said that was Barrett's favorite part. Does that do your heart good to know that one of your former players would say that was his favorite part was the Friday night speeches?
Yeah, especially when you think nobody's listening. I mean, it's good to know at least somebody was listening.
No, Barrett tells us he soaked it all up, man. He said he learned more in that than anything. That's funny.
That's good. You spend a lot of time, as a coach because the psychological disposition of your team, the mindset that you're always trying to work to create, and even if you're fortunate enough to create it, how do you sustain it? How do you keep it? And that's something I think people really sort of underestimate a little bit, when it comes to coaching and keeping the mindset of your team in the right position.
Back to the hip surgery. You said, I want to do this because I don't want to coach one more season. I want to coach more seasons. And I think one of the biggest surprises for us is how long you've actually been in Tuscaloosa. I know that's not a surprise to you, but when we start to come up on years 13, 14, 15, does it get a little surprising that you've been in one place that long?
No, I think that, you always have goals in your life, and I always thought the ultimate goal would be head coach in the NFL. And when I went to the Miami Dolphins, I thought it was a great situation. I learned a lot, but I also learned a lot about myself in terms of what I really enjoyed about coaching. College coaching, you have a great opportunity to, affect young people's lives, personal development, see them graduate, see how they develop as football players. And there's a lot of positive self-gratification in some of those things beyond winning the game. And I found out that that's the part that I really enjoyed. So I felt very fortunate to be able to get an opportunity at a place where you had a chance to win when we came back to Alabama. And I think that, our family's there. Our kids live in Birmingham. My mom lives in Birmingham. Miss Terry loves Tuscaloosa. So, we felt like we don't need a new challenge. The challenge there is every year, how do you sustain, sort of what you're trying to accomplish from a standard standpoint, and every year is a rebuilding year in my mind, and we don't need to go someplace else to do that. We just try to keep doing it at Alabama.
You talk a lot about the mental state of a team all the time. Going through spring after a disappointing end of the season, what was your evaluation of the mental state of your team?
Yeah, I think good. I think sometimes, when you win a lot, people don't understand that, success is not really a continuum. It's momentary, so you got to keep doing the things that you did to be successful, but sometimes you lose your humility a little bit and get a little complacent, and that kind of creates a blatant disregard for doing what's right, and you start developing bad habits. You don't practice, you don't prepare, you don't do things the way you need to do them or the way you have been doing them, and then you play somebody really good and you get exposed a little bit, and I think our players learned a lot from that.
I know you and Dabo Swinney have got a really good relationship, and this place Boca Grande that I read about, is the Temp that good of a restaurant?
It's good. There's some other good restaurants there too, but Dabo has a place there. He's been there for a long, long time, and we've probably been there for 7 or 8 years. But it's really kind of a unique place because there's really no commercial buildings there, and it's like living in a neighborhood, and you've got the bay and the Gulf on one side, and the pass where there's a lot of good fishing. So it's really a unique place, and we really enjoy it there. And we have a lot of respect for Dabo and what he's done, but when we're there and we see each other there, it's more of a family thing. We know his kids, his wife, and I think he feels the same way about us.
Coach Nick Saban, he's going to chip and putt a little bit and sign some autographs. Always good talking to you, Coach. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All right, so that was Nick Saban on W Jocks Roundtable. I was put onto this and kind of thought, hey, I'll listen to this on tape. That's what I'll do. I won't even listen to it before I listen to it, tell you what I think. Because, well, one, I think that anytime that you get Nick Saban for 6 or 7 minutes to talk about something other than football, I'm really interested to find out whether or not these guys have lives outside of the game that I love and certainly that they love. And Nick Saban is not only on the Game of Thrones, he is up on the Game of Thrones. So that means you Xers, you boomers, you have no excuse whatsoever. None. Some of my favorite people in the world want to pretend like this show does not exist. Yes, not only does this show exist, but it runs life. Runs so much of your life that you mute us on Twitter and you have nothing else to talk about on Sundays during the off season because we know what time it is and Nick Saban knows what time it is. He knows that Jon Snow is probably going to end up on his throne. I think that Danny's going to watch him die, but that's me. Kind of got this running back going with Laurel. I'm also not really a big fan of anybody on Game of Thrones. Like, I like the show. I like the story. But I'm not riding for none of these people. I can't. Cersei is a bona fide psychopath. A bona fide Ted Bundy. Like, the only person that she won't have killed is her own children, and yet they keep dying. Her brother Jaime cannot be helped. Called himself hateful. The only person who's worth a doggone in the entire show, people want to make fun of because they want to say that she's not pretty. Well, all right, fine. I'm not pretty. I don't like anybody in this show. I don't even like Jon Snow. I think Jon Snow is riding with the wrong woman, and it's going to get him killed. Straight up. Pure facts. People are like, that's what love does. No, that's not what love does. Love puts you on the path towards success. Love thinks about you, and then itself. You know what? I'm not even going to start lecturing y'all about love because this is college football that we was talking about. I know one of the things that I took away from this, other than Nick Saban is going to be up north recruiting White Walkers, should be recruiting Drogon is what you should be doing. Number one, recruit the dragon. Number two, recruit the dragon that's alive. I ain't got no use for no dragon that can't see a blindside hit coming. Keep your head on a swivel, Rhaegal. What is you doing? Look, you up there in the sky smiling at your mama when you got your head literally taken off by a scorpion. I can't help you. I can't help nobody that can't keep their head on a swivel. I can't do it, all right? But Nick Saban, process guy, we knew this. Feel like I'm making a joke about Joel Embiid, but one of the things that I do truly respect about Nick Saban is one of the things that I do every single day is just try to not only succeed and do the best job you can, but to do it over and over again. And the level of success that you've achieved is the level of success that you need to maintain. And Schoolboy Q said it best. A lot of people can get it. Not a whole lot of people can keep it. And if nothing else, I will always have tremendous respect and adoration. Not admiration, adoration for the job that Nick Saban has done at Alabama to sustain, to keep the level of success that the Crimson Tide has had. Because, look, I'm listening to my man Pat Jones on The Animal talk about ranking of coaches, right? And while I disagree with his ranking of coaches, I do find the merit and sincerity in what he had to say on, I think it was Thursday afternoon, when he put guys like Gary Patterson at the top of his list. He put guys like Jeff Monken at the top of his list. He put guys like Kirk Ferentz at the top of his list. He puts more stock into coaches that go into what he thinks are tough situations and succeed at not necessarily the highest level, but a higher level than what they should be. For instance, I believe that Pat Jones would have Bill Snyder ranked number 1 if he was still coaching, because going into Kansas State and making something out of nothing is literally what Bill Snyder did. There may not be a better coaching job in the history of college football than what Bill Snyder did at Kansas State, and I think Kansas State folks will be the first people to tell you that. But I'm not going to discount Nick Saban walking into Alabama, which was not a laughingstock, but it wasn't the Bama that Bear Bryant built by any means. Or the thing that Dabo did in going to Clemson. And most people don't even know where Clemson is, like on the map. Like, matter of fact, South Carolina, as my man Bomani says, ain't got no dots. Okay? Ain't nobody living in South Carolina except the people in South Carolina. And that's kind of how we feel about it in Oklahoma, right? We would say that Oklahoma City's got a dot because there's an NBA team, right? But my hometown, Tulsa, wouldn't say ain't got no dots, right? I'm saying all this to say what they've done to achieve the level of success that they have in winning a national championship and then sustaining that level of success for any length of time is what I find so endearing. And then you got Nick Saban, who had hip surgery and said, nah, forget a walker. I'm out here putting, because that's how Nick Saban gets down. Now, Nick, be careful, because, look, I love you. Actually, I don't love you. I admire you, but, bruh, you up there, man. Like, you ain't moving like you was 40 years ago. That just ain't what it is. So you better lean on that putter if you need to lean on that putter. And don't get caught slipping. That's a hip joke. All right, that is it for me. I will see you tomorrow. Deuces.